I ask you, do you think the 49ers have a favorable second half schedule?
Yeah, I mean, I just mentioned why too. So I think that they're obviously they left over, and more than um more than the home and away games, there's really uh like play different, whether it's home or away. I think they in their level of play, no matter where they're at, but it's the level of defense that they play as far as this offense looking good. I mean, the defense when they're healthy, right? I think obviously the Kansas City game was really bad, and then some people say the Chicago game and the Atlanta game. To me, I think that was circumstances. Then the actual defense was terrible. But as far as if this offense is able to score 27 plus points per game, it makes the defense. It's a lot easier for this team to win. And I mentioned that 7 out of them are bottom 10 points allowed. So the 49ers have every opportunity to really, and I think with CMC there and them getting healthy, they can definitely make. Jimmy might get a lot of credit from the national media, but I think it's going to be a lot of circumstance goes on a run. And if they're hot going into the playoffs, you never know what could happen.
Yeah, I think like when we talk about the schedule, I think it's going to be, in a way, it's very intriguing to me because I thought the first half of the schedule would be the easier part in a way. You face Carolina, you face Atlanta, Chicago, you face Seattle. Going into the season, I thought that those would be four fairly not simple, but fairly relatively easy wins compared to the remainder of the schedule. 49ers went 2-2 in those games, and they lost. Yeah, they lost to Chicago, they lost to Atlanta, and as a result, they're 4-4 right now instead of 6-2. Now they have beaten some interesting teams, right? They've beaten the Rams, they've beaten the Seahawks. They did lose to the Chiefs, but they are now 4-4. But now when we look at the second half of the schedule and how the teams have played, it does seem more favorable than before. The Chargers haven't played as well as you'd expect them maybe to. The Buccaneers have struggled this year. The Dolphins have been up and down. You've seen their stretches where they faced off really well in the beginning of the year, but came down to earth a little bit, hovering around 500. The Cardinals have had their struggles both on offense and defense, and the 49ers haven't played them once yet. Overall, the teams that you thought would be tougher are now not seeming as tough matchups and then when you factor in home field advantage and the way that the 49er fans travel, it does seem like it might be a bit of a favorable schedule. Now, that's also what worries me a little bit because the 49ers tend to beat themselves in games that we expect them to win. So, as long as they can minimize those mistakes, mitigate the issues that they've had in the past this year, and really start to execute more consistently because they've been able to rep it more and because they've been able to kind of get some tread under the legs, I do think that the second half is favorable, which is why I still anticipate them to win the division and make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, and one thing about the guys that they're getting back, they're not only impactful players on the team, right? Ark Armstead is a very vocal leader on the team. Jimmy Ward coming back, another vocal. Obviously, Fred Warner had, I think, his best game of the season last week as well. Very there's one thing to just get players back, but players that actually impact their play, but also with their leadership, I think can help mitigate some of those issues when it comes down. And you're having guys like Armstead, guys like Jimmy Ward, guys like Jason coming in pretty much like needing to prove themselves in their own. There's enough of this new wave of healthy players that aren't going to be just like resting on their laurels because they have games and they want to be there. They want to play and we know the 49ers play off of that energy, play off of that emotion when they're having fun and guys are in plays. It really energizes the rest of the team, and I think that some of the guys to do that, so it can help mitigate some of that lull that you're talking, don't execute, and they kind of play down to their level of opponent.
No, I do agree. I think so, and that is an important factor, and maybe that's where you do benefit when that leadership does come back.